Edition of Elevate Your Grind here at the Benzinga Cannabis Capital Conference in Miami, Florida. And I would put a request next year to put another letter in between the C's so I don't trip up on them. We have a great event going on here, and I have an amazing guest sitting with me. So one of my goals for the show, which I haven't touched on yet really to the audience because I want to start doing it, but we talk about it, is getting more of the OGs and the people at the beginning of this industry, the people who have, really sacrificed for this industry on the show, because I believe that they all have amazing stories, and we're at a point in time where they've done their time, their statute of limitations, where they can start sharing, right? So if we can get these former mafia members and I hate saying it because I'm a fan of their podcast, but murderers on the radio, and we can listen to their stories and we can enjoy those. Why can't we listen to the stories of those who fought the good fight for the plant, never really harmed anybody, and are now out here trying to do it again and still trying to make this industry better, even though they had to sacrifice for it? So with that being said, please welcome my guest, Luke Scarmazzo. Thank you for joining me, friend.
Thanks for having me, Todd.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Luke, you opened one of the first dispensaries out in California, and you are just recently out, actually. Can you give us a little background? This was, you said 2000. You literally just told me, and this is how terrible we're right. It's 2006, you said?
Yeah, 2004 is when we opened.
Off by two.
One of the first licensed medical cannabis dispensaries in the country, and the very first in the Central Valley of California. And ran it for 2 years until 2006. That's probably where that came from.
I knew there was a significant thing that happened in 2006.
Yeah. And then it was a way different time back then. Every time you went to work or opened your doors, there was a threat or fear of a federal prosecution.
Which is crazy because theoretically, almost literally, it was legal.
Yeah. I mean, we had a license from the state. We had a license from the city. We paid all of our taxes. So, I mean, in the state, it was 100% legal. But unfortunately, with the federal government at that time, they didn't care. To them, every plant, whether it's for medicinal purposes or for an eighth going out to the street, it meant the same thing to them.
Yeah.
So, it was, like I said, different times. So in 2006, after running the dispensary for 2 years, they came in and raided us and took us to trial.
That's incredible. And then you served, what you said, 15 years?
Yeah. We lost in trial. It was an uphill battle, to say the least. You couldn't say like the words like medical marijuana. You couldn't say California law. Couldn't say any of those things. And then I served the next 15 years in prison. Very challenging environments. There was like a joke sometimes, like when things would be getting crazy as hell in prison, I'd hold up my hands and go, guys, I'm just here for weed, man. Like, listen, I don't want any problems.
The crazy part about that to me is not only were you in there for just weed, because I've heard that before too, you were in there for doing things that by California law was right. So you did what you were supposed to do. And then still, because you chose to be a pioneer, because you chose to be one of the first people to do it.
Yeah.
It's crazy that somehow the state of California doesn't have your back when they sure collected your taxes.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And that was like one of the frustrating things, right? Like over the course of like the last decade and a half, I watched like the industry grow into what we have today. And, part of me, like I'm from the culture. I love the plant. So, part of me is like cheerleading it on, right? I'm like encouraged by all the progress. But then there's another part of me that's super frustrated, right? Because I'm sitting in a prison cell while governments and corporations bank millions of dollars for the exact same conduct that I'm serving this time for. So that was super frustrating.
Like, bitch, I am Bill Gates. The first operating system, that was me. And then you guys put me on the sideline.
Yeah.
That blows my mind that just for being a pioneer in an industry that California wanted to expand, that has to happen to you. So what's crazy to me, and this is what I love about the folks that are involved in this industry, and just shows how passionate they are, that you've been out now for 68 days and you're already, the first thing you're doing is looking back and saying, hey, there's more people like me. There are more people in there.
Absolutely.
They need to be freed. They're not supposed to be in there. And I know that you're passionate and dedicated, because 60 days out, you're in fucking Miami, Florida, and you're choosing to be at this boring ass conference instead of being on the beach.
Yeah.
I know you're dedicated to your mission.
Yes. Super dedicated. I mean, listen, that is like my primary goal. My primary goal is to make sure that there aren't any more kids that grow up in a house without their parent because of a nonviolent cannabis offense.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a issue that hits so close to home with me. And just really like to make sure that we don't have these injustices continue, man. There's people while we're sitting at this conference and we're having a good time and, you know, meeting people and all these people that are involved in making a living off of cannabis. There is literally people sitting in a cage right now for the exact same conduct. That has to stop. And that's why, like, one of my main purposes here is to promote a program called the Mission Green Alliance. And that is where we're encouraging some of the large MSOs to get involved in the program. And what it basically does is it like rounds up the purchase of a product in one of their stores.
That's really cool.
Yeah, to where the customer actually can kind of now get involved at the point of sale to be able to like champion justice now. Now, like, it's not just a few guys that are getting out of prison or a few ladies that are getting out of prison, like advocating. Now we can involve the whole community because like it's going to take everybody. It's going to take all the companies. You know, we've had like Glass House has signed on, Verano has signed on, TerraSend has signed on, Mattio Communications has been super dope with me.
Yep.
But the whole thing with like those companies leading is great, but it's going to take everybody, you know what I mean? To move the needle with at the federal level is like a tremendous lift, and we need everybody involved.
I agree with you. And I love the fact that now is now going to be a really good funding method to be able for you guys to have that money to lobby Washington. And let me ask you a question, and you're welcome to answer it or not. How do you feel when the current administration comes out and they make an announcement that they're pardoning all nonviolent cannabis offenders at the federal level, and turns out that's like 6 people? You know, obviously I'm being facetious. I think it was like 1,000, but like where they make it seem like they're doing this grand gesture, but it's really such a fraction of the people that are in there. You know, do you see that as progress, or do you see that as kind of like a false flag?
I'm very disappointed in the Biden administration, and I'll tell you why. When Biden was campaigning, he made a promise that he would free everyone incarcerated for cannabis and expunge their records.
Yeah.
Then last October, he comes out with the announcement that you're referring to and kind of switched the language up.
Yeah.
Switched the language up to now it was like, oh, we're just going to pardon people who have simple possession.
Yeah.
Let me like make this 100% clear. There is nobody in federal prison for simple possession. That absolutely had zero effect. So, I mean, it's cool in the sense of like, sure, you have a president talking about cannabis and pardoning people. And, you know, it's not for nothing, but it doesn't have any real world impact. So like, you know, it's a lot of theater and symbolism, but we need the administration to actually follow through on what they said.
What I hope happens, and obviously I see it with you being here, is that, you know, folks like yourself and, you know, folks like the Last Prisoner and everybody else, the Weldon Project, that media allows you guys to be on bigger and bigger platforms and get the general public behind you. Because, you know, when it's told, when the stories are told right, when the stories are shared, you actually understand who these people are and what they've done, right? A lot of these, they're not cartel members. They're not murderers. They're people who were passionate about the plant. Don't get me wrong. There are some people in there that probably thought it was an easier way to make money than having a day job. But at the end of the day, if they never really hurt anybody, and for what this plant has been put from prohibition for, which the crazy part is that had nothing to do with the smokable side of it, is I believe the general public would understand and want to support. And then hopefully, because we know the only thing that moves a politician's opinion is how to get votes. Hopefully, by sparking public opinion, that is a way that would work for you guys. And I see that as a great option. And it seems like that's a big part of the plan for you.
Yeah, it definitely is. Just being able to like tell my story and put like a human face on it, right? I think can kind of move the needle, because like even like this is the crazy part. Like I'm at we're here at a cannabis conference, right? When I tell my story about why I was put in prison for 22 years for running a state legal dispensary, like there's people here that can't believe that. You know, and this is from our community. So like when you tell just like the general public, you know, stories like that and stories that are like mine, it's mind blowing, and they can't believe it, and they're motivated to get involved. And I think that's important that we continue to do that until every single last person is free for a cannabis offense.
And every single one that I've seen that comes out, Randy Lanier, Richard DeLisi, yourself, the first thing you guys do is turn around and say, hey, we got to get everybody else out. Like, great, I'm out here, but now my mission is to go get everybody else. There's no one who, well, again, who I've seen, and I don't know everyone who's been released, that just comes out and goes, well, I'm good.
I'll
good. See you guys
and
later.
Listen, the guys that do that, I'm not mad at them, because listen, it's a traumatic experience. And if you felt like, hey, look, I just want to forget all about that, like, I would understand that, you know, but me, like, I can't forget about the people that are in there. It's too important to me. And it's too important, I think, to like the overall community to have any nonviolent cannabis offender back on the street.
And I believe that the industry owes this to you guys, in the sense that it is also self-serving for them, because the more people that have experience in, you know, we'll call it the prior cannabis market, that are back into the employment pool, that we can take advantage. No, I don't want to say take advantage of, that sounds terrible, but have the advantage of being able to bring them into our businesses and share their education, share what they've known from the past. I think that benefits the industry as a whole, and it benefits society. So you can almost theoretically, as an MSO or as by one of these organizations, selfishly help yourself by helping society.
Sure. And I mean, people want to support a company that supports a cause, right? That has a cause behind their product or behind what they stand for. So like, you know, me personally, like, I'm going to go spend my money with a company that I know is behind this mission, right? Because it's important to me. So I think that in itself with a lot of these MSOs is a motivating factor, because it's something that really they can monetize, you know, to put it in like really business terms.
Well, you have some of the heavyweights behind you. I would love to actually you know, introduce you to a couple friends that I have here as well. Hopefully they can work with you. But if folks want to start working with Mission Green, if they want to donate to the cause, if they're dispensaries that want to work with the organization, how can they find you?
Go to projectmissiongreen.org or the weldonproject.org, and the landing page will tell you exactly what to do. Click on it, get involved, donate where you can. If you're a company, you know, you don't have to be a large MSO. You can be a operator with one dispensary, and you can become involved and do your part, man.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, Luke, I will tell you, and I'll make sure Rob hears this after the fact, but you know, C-Lab will do something to figure out how we can work together with you guys, some kind of a fundraiser. We'll reach out to the Matteo team and coordinate.
Thank you, man. I appreciate
anything we can do to be a part and help out, I'm happy to do. I know you got a lot of stuff to do with this show. I appreciate you sitting down with me. And as you continue in your mission, I would absolutely love to have you back, sit down and do this again.
Absolutely. I had a great time, man.
Awesome.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.